Welcome to Scarecrow Miniature Painting. I'm Steven, and in this episode, we are going to be working on specifically the washes of our um, Dwarven clerics. Now, I'm just going to go into the bag here. There's one more wash I want to grab out, and it is my red tone. So, how we're going to do this is we're going to start with the skin tones. So with this figure specifically, his hands, his face, and that's going to be it for him. The other one is going to be the face, and then that is it for him. Now, I mentioned in the last video we were also going to be doing the hair and the flesh tone. I've decided to change that over to the soft tone. And I have misplaced... Nope, they're just under the other palette. Okay, so what I'm going to do first is I'm going to begin by thinning down this wash. Now this is the flesh tone. This should be the flesh tone. Now, washes are already pretty thin, but the reason why I'm thinning this down even more is so that while I'm applying it, it's only getting in the recessed areas. It's not going to get in any area that I don't want it to. So I'm just going to start by softly applying that to the forehead. Move it around. Beard. Touch up that ear. Move it around the cheek here. Get that ear. I'm going to get the nose on both sides. So I'm going to do that again. And with how flesh tone is, we're also going to do the eyes right there, because that'll seep into it and it'll show up a little bit more on the eyes. Now let's do this hand. So this is really just giving us a more detailed look at our figure and where some of the more concaved recesses are, some of the, for instance, you can see it more on the hand, where the recesses are, so we know for highlighting purposes. And it gives off a nice shadow too once it's done and done properly. So he's done with that one. We're going to move on to the next one. We're going to let that dry. Remember, this one is just the face. So he's going to dry a little bit faster. Then we'll move on to the other one and we'll start with the red wash. So his clumped up a little bit more on the forehead, so we're just maneuvering it around. Trying to get that ear, get that nose. Now his mouth is a little bit visible, so I am going to touch it up to the mouth as well. And now with washes being this thin, you can touch it. And it did take some of the uniform gray away, so we're just going to add a little bit more to it. And what we're doing here is we're just adding just a drop of uniform so that we can get the other portion of his beard. So I'm just going to take that. I'm just going to line it up like that. And there we have it. So, he's done with that wash. This one is still somewhat drying, but we're going to begin working on the red wash. Now, the red tone, specifically for that fire. We're going to add a little bit more to it because we're going to add the same dilution that we did with the other, with the skin tone. But I'm going to dilute it to where once I mix it in, it's not losing the red skin tone, or the red tone we are looking for. So I'm just going to start with right here in the crevices of the fire. And what I'm doing is I'm just splashing it on my brush. And this can be done with any brush. I'm choosing to use my 4-0. It's my typical miniature brush that I go with. But this will make those yellows a little bit more orange, a little bit less opaque as well. It will make the reds pop a little bit more. And once done, we're going to add a little bit more to it to get into those recesses. You should be left with that. So that is going to sit in those recesses. It's going to turn more red and give off the effect that he is actually casting a spell. So, with that, we are going to move on to our soft tone. Now, our soft tone is going to be anything metallic. It is going to be on him, his hair, his beard. It is going to be anything that from there up, except for this metallic right here. That's going to be soft tone as well. I would do the rivets on the pants. However, that's going to be a little bit more convoluted. But we can definitely do that. I'll show you how to do that as well. Okay. So I'm just going to mix that up. We're going to start with that hair. Now what this should do is it shouldn't darken up any of the it shouldn't darken up the base coat, but it should darken up those recesses. Now the reason we chose the soft tone for this figure specifically was to not lose contrast on the metals, but still get a good thorough wash. That's why it's important to hold your figures properly. Apparently he was not on his base all the way. Just looking him over real quick, making sure he didn't break anywhere. We're going to keep moving on with this wash. So, as you can see, I didn't apply the wash all the way down this sleeve, and there's a reason why I didn't do that. So, I want to give the effect of light. Best way to give the effect of light is to have a stopping point. So we're just going to keep going on with this. Brush some of that off. We're going to do this blue in that soft tone. Okay. And now we're just going to take it, and on these rivets on the belt, we're just going to hit every single one of them. And now we're going to take it and do the entire hammer. The reason we're doing soft tone on this is because we want those chips that we made to still stand out. We don't want to lose the metallic effects that we gave it. And then once we are done with this figure, we'll move on to the next figure. Now, as you see, I'm only doing the metallics on the bottom down. Of the hammer, and that is because of where we're going to add the washes for those. So, make sure that I got this sleeve good and washed. Same with this one. Okay, just like that. So now we're going to move on to the next figure. We're going to be extra careful to not touch where the wash was. We don't want to get it on our fingers. So, just like before, anywhere metallic is going to get this soft wash. So we're going to start with that. Now the only difference is this hammer will get a wash from top to bottom. That's because of where the hammer is in correlation to the body. So just like before, we're going to do the wash in the hair with soft wash. We're going to get this hand. We're going to get down to the glove on this arm. We're going to get to the belt on the back. get to the belt on the front. And with that, that wash is done. So with this one we have the hand down to paint in that strong tone. So, where's my strong tone? And just like before, we're going to let that dry. So we're going to move on to our next figure. We're going to dilute the water, or dilute the wash. Mix that up. And then we're going to go from the underside of this figure down, missing any rivets along the way, specifically hitting the pants. Then we're going to do wrong wash. We're going to do the pants in this strong wash. And the boots. On the sides. Where light, or at least not the darkest shadows, would be. So the fronts, the sides, everything like that is getting this dark wash. Like so. Or the strong wash. Now, one thing I did forget to do with him is the soft wash here. Because that is what was missing from the last portion. So we're going to move him. We're going to pick him up. We're going to go into our strong wash. Keep calling it the dark wash because that's going to be the next wash we do. I'm going to hit the belt. The back of the cloak. This hand. The pants and the boots. Now this one we will do the boots in its entirety. The back, we'll just get a second layer of dark wash. Which should also pull out that wash a little bit more and darken it up. And we can always add dark wash to it again to make it darker. But that is what we have. So, now let's start with the dark wash. So for those of you that are familiar with Games Workshop washes, the dark wash is almost like a black ink, in my personal opinion. And then, hold on. It is not a Scarecrow miniature painting video unless the phone falls. There we go. So, the dark wash is almost like a black ink, if you would. And the other tones are, in my opinion, they look more so like different levels of sepia, whereas dark tone is more of an Agrax Earthshade. Just gonna add some there and just coarse that down. So we're gonna add that to some of the areas on this figure that I want to actually show up a little bit more. I'm gonna mix that around. Some of the more finer details. And like I said, that's going to also darken up that other layer. But we got, for instance, we got it kind of splattered across the back here. And then if it's too much, we can literally just take a rag and just go around it like that. And we get a nice little shadowed detail. And then we are going to move on to him. Now remember, we're doing this one, the underside, back of the boots, and I think I'm also going to touch it up to darken some of these more finite recesses, like under the arm here, to make those pop out a little bit more as well. And just like before, if you got a little too much, pushed a little too hard there. But if you got a little too much, you can take a napkin and do it. Now, we're also going to do the entire bases that they have currently on there in this tone. We're going to do multiple layers of this. The reason being is because I find that doing a base in the dark tone, one, highlights the recesses better, but also it makes it stand out a bit more. And then we can go back and touch it up with whatever color we want for the base afterwards. But I'm just maneuvering the wash around so it's not sitting in the same places on both figures' bases. So that's the whole point of a wash, is you want it to be malleable to where it's not just darkening up in certain areas, but all the areas that you want it to. But that is pretty much it. I mean, we got what we wanted. And with that, that is the end of this episode as well. We're going to let these dry. And while we let them dry, I'm going to do a quick overview with you on how they look. So this is what we have so far. Now, you could totally stop right there and call that tabletop ready. Or you could take it one step further and add highlights. And if you have watched the channel, that is exactly what we're going to be doing. We're going to be adding highlights. So what I'm doing real quick is I'm just taking that dark wash and I'm hitting some of the more recessed areas that I do want highlighted. Or darkened up, I should say. Because I think that will show through a little bit better and it gives a good contrast. So, with that, this is what we have. And like I said, you could completely stop right there and say that both of these are tabletop ready. You could say the miniature's painted, it's done, I'm not going to paint any further. Or you can add the highlights that we're going to be adding to it in the next video. Specifically the greens, the blues, and the face and the hair. Because we're going to start adding white to the hair. And then with this figure, now we are going to do an object source light on him. I'm going to look up some campfire videos and see how they look on that. But this is what we have. I mean, I'm pretty happy with how he's turned out. And like I said, we could completely stop right here. Now we're not going to, but we could. And with that being said and done, thank you for watching the channel, or watching the video. Please like and subscribe to the channel. And a brief update on the channel is that we are working with Wasteland Crafts to discuss a potential collaboration with them. So be on the lookout for that. And then check out our TikTok, our Facebook, and our Instagram for update videos and update pictures, everything like that. Check out our Patreon to become a member. And with that being said and done, that is it. In the next video, we're going to be in the highlighting phase, which there's not really a lot to highlight, but we are going to begin it. I'm going to show you how to do cloth highlights to make them pop out more across those recesses. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, we are done with these characters. I'm trying to get that to focus. And on the face. I'm proud of how both of these figures have turned out. I wish the metallic green would have been more vibrant, but I may have ways to get that to show up. Yeah, with that is it. Thank you for watching the channel, and I hope you have a great day. Bye.